children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of
Hello Marine, welcome back to Moderation While Means Fair Game. And today is our last day of our viewer request week. Did you watch them all? Or maybe you didn't see your suggestion. Well, if you didn't, then always feel free to remind us, and we'll try to add them to next month's list. Well, it wouldn't feel normal for us if we didn't get a request for a horror manga. And today it's called Mieruko-chan, or The Girl That Can See It. It's a very recent manga, only going back to a few months. And while the wiki says that there are 12 chapters, only 8 have been translated as of recording this. And our first 5 shouldn't really count, since they're 4-page stories, like a small collection of one-shots. It's not saying they're bad, but they should have just been compiled into a single 1 or 2 chapters, because our final 3 have more substance behind them. But I'm getting off track. Our story is about Mieruko, who, for no reason, one day gains the ability to see ghosts. And the joy, or appeal of this manga at first, is that she doesn't react to them, so that they leave her alone. But once the coast is clear, she freaks out in this strangely adorable way. But then she has to keep the straight face, while screaming internally. Which kinda reminds me of that everything's fine meme. Our first real story starts off in chapter 4, as she's walking home with her friend Hana, and they stumble across a stray cat, with a shade following it. They post online to try to find a new home, only for the first guy to have multiple animal figures following him. Mieruko refuses to let him take it, as he's more than likely responsible for killing the rest of them. But the shade is now drawn to his darkness and begins following him. The next guy they decide to give him to, who looks like a punk, but is being followed by Nekomatas, a yokai that could only come about from a cat who had a long full life. A nice little lesson of not judging someone based on their appearance. Chapter 6 involves the horror of public transportation. But it really picks up halfway through, as she notices a guy talking to his girlfriend, while a jealous Anryu stands beside him. He eventually notices her, and thinks she's an admirer, which then makes it turn to her. She quickly plays it off like she's really into a wrestling match, and his girlfriend eventually shows up, who's apparently gone yandere before. So, I wouldn't mind a little spin-off of seeing how their relationship turns out. Chapter 7 involves them buying prayer beads that can keep lesser ones away, but instantly breaks as soon as a greater entity appears. And once again, she has to pretend that everything is fine. Part 2 of the story involves them going back to the fortune teller to get a replacement set, only for them to also fail immediately. But she notices that Hana has an abundance of spiritual energy, and is unknowingly attracting the shades to both of them. So, not to be outdone, she gives them their most powerful charm, one that itself was sealed away because of its might, which also breaks mere moments later, as the fortune teller retires. And our final chapter, 8, introduces her little brother, Keiyusaka, who notices her behavior's been a bit off lately, and comes to the conclusion that she must have a boyfriend. So he begins to follow her to confront him. She goes to the library to research spiritual magic, but nothing seems to be useful. He goes over there, and of course looks at the section underneath, and gets the complete wrong impression. She then tries to take a bath to calm down, but is again accosted by spirits. He goes in asking to share a bath to make sure she doesn't have something like a hickey, and unknowingly saves her from the ghost. And it looks like the next chapter is coming out March 1st. It's kind of a lesser end of the story for now, but it was a lot of fun to read. And even if you don't want to go through the commitment of reading a new manga, the first 5 chapters only take about a minute each, so I say give them a try. And that wraps up another viewer request week. Did you enjoy it? Which story was your favorite? And what kind of stories would you like to see for next month? Post that below in the comments, as well as any other ideas you'd like to see it made into a video. And again, we'll try to add them to next month's list. And now we come to the point of the show where we ask you to help us appease the YouTube algorithm by asking you to please like, share, and comment. It really helps out more than you think. And if you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, it's very much appreciated. So, until our next video, I'm Runya,
And I'm Ada.
reminding you to take life in moderation.
Weep not, poor children, for life is this way, murdering beauty and passion.